You didn't click this video because you wanted to learn about cars. You clicked because there's a feeling you've never fully trusted, a strange pull toward old classic cars that feels heavier than logic, heavier than conscious choice. And once you notice that pull, it starts asking questions you didn't invite. Questions about what you value, what you miss, what you're afraid of losing. Because the moment you admit this isn't just about cars, you can't unsee what it's really touching. Old classic cars are slower, less efficient, less practical by every modern standard, and yet people don't just admire them, they restore them, obsess over them, protect them, sacrifice time, money, and sleep for them. Appreciation doesn't demand sacrifice, preservation does. Which raises the uncomfortable question most people avoid. What exactly are they trying to preserve? In a world where everything updates, replaces itself, and disappears quietly, that question lands harder than you realize. Why does rust feel more honest than plastic? Rust shows time, wear, survival. Plastic pretends nothing happened. And deep down, people sense that pretending has a cost. Most explanations stop at nostalgia. But nostalgia alone doesn't explain devotion. Nostalgia doesn't keep people in garages for years. Nostalgia doesn't make frustration feel meaningful. Something deeper is happening, and it starts with how the brain responds to stability. Imagine standing alone in a garage. The air smells like oil and metal. The car in front of you isn't perfect. The paint is worn. The interior carries years of use. Without thinking, your shoulders drop. Your breathing slows. Your body settles before your mind does. That calm isn't romance. It's your nervous system recognizing something it understands. And when you step back outside, everything feels louder, faster, less patient, more demanding. That contrast is the key. Psychologically, this is emotional anchoring. The brain attaches feelings of stability and identity to physical objects. When life feels fragmented, the mind searches for something solid enough to hold meaning. An old car becomes proof that time can pass without erasing value, not because it's old, but because it endured. When people lose those anchors, they don't always panic, they just feel off, restless, replaceable. Eventually, that disposability turns inward, not just their things, themselves. When everything around you is designed to be temporary, it quietly teaches you that you might be too. Nostalgia isn't weakness, it's a stabilizer, showing up when the present feels unstable and the future feels unclear. When someone restores an old car, the relief doesn't come from memory alone. It comes from a simple, powerful message: at least this can be repaired. But that relief only works because it requires effort. Modern dopamine is fast and effortless. Scroll, buy, replace, repeat. It feels good briefly, then vanishes. Restoring something old creates slow dopamine, earned dopamine. Every repaired part reinforces the same signal: your actions matter. And if that line feels heavier than expected, it's worth sitting with it. When was the last time something in your life clearly told you that? Cognitive dissonance deepens the attachment. Logically, restoring an old car often makes no sense. It's inefficient, expensive, time-consuming. That tension forces the brain to justify the effort by increasing meaning. Effort becomes proof of worth, not just of the object, but of the person doing the work. And here's the harder question. What happens when the things that resist you start disappearing from life entirely? When the world offers only convenience and instant gratification, how does the part of you that needs to feel capable survive? From an evolutionary perspective, this is ancient wiring. Humans survived by maintaining tools, repairing damage, and understanding cause and effect. Throwing things away wasn't an option. Fixing meant survival. Our brains still reward that pattern. When you restore something broken, you don't just feel productive, you feel capable. Modern machines deny us that feeling. They're sealed, automated, untouchable. You don't fix them, you replace them. Over time, that teaches quiet dependence, and dependence slowly erodes identity. You stop feeling like someone who can handle things. Old classic cars reverse that lesson. You can see the system, touch it, understand it. When you turn a bolt and hear the engine respond, your nervous system relaxes. Pathways linked to the vagus nerve activate, signaling safety and control. Your body believes you again. But there's another reason this attachment goes so deep, and it's harder to admit. Old cars don't judge you. They don't care how fast you're moving through life. They don't punish you for falling behind. They don't demand relevance. In a culture obsessed with optimization, an old car lets you exist without proving anything. Value doesn't expire there. That's why this becomes identity level, not as status, but as refuge, a place where worth isn't constantly measured. And here's where the shadow appears. Sometimes restoration becomes avoidance. Machines are predictable. People aren't. Cars don't misunderstand you. They don't leave. When the garage starts feeling safer than relationships, something has shifted. Fixing replaces feeling. There's also identity fusion. When a project becomes the self, failure stops being mechanical. A mistake isn't just a mistake anymore, it's a verdict. The thing that once grounded you starts demanding perfection. That's the part no one posts. The healthiest relationship with restoration isn't control, it's engagement. One expands your life, the other quietly shrinks it. Most people only notice the difference after the joy starts feeling heavy. But here's the unresolved question worth sitting with. If restoring old machines makes us feel more human, what does it say about the world that makes us need them so badly? Maybe the car was never the point. Maybe it's a reminder of a version of life where effort mattered, where things lasted, and where people felt capable. And maybe the reason this pull feels so strong is because part of you is still looking for that feeling. Not in a garage, not in a perfect machine, but everywhere else it's quietly disappeared. And maybe that part of you is still unfinished, still searching.